Because if you truly feel like you need to be this crusader for the people and your boss doesn't know what's going on and you need to throw elbows and you need to dissent and you need to have a bad attitude, you're probably at the wrong company. Hi, my name's Devin. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. Today I want to talk to you, or more ask you a question on your mindset and how you interact at work. And the question is, are you a PIA, pain in the butt, or are you a blessing to those around you? And I'm going to tell the story about a guy who's worked for me, and I guess it's probably been it's coming up on like 20 years. It's been an incredible time. He's worked at a few of my different companies I've had along the way. And recently, we've become really good friends over the years. And recently we were spending some time together, and he said, "Hey, I don't know if I ever told you this." And he goes, "But before I started working for you, I was in the military, and I knew that." He actually was in the Marines. And he said, I worked for these generals, and I was like, 19 years old, 18 years old at the time. And I thought it was so cool that I was working for these generals, and he was kind of like their personal assistant. And he took the job very seriously, as he should. And he was really honored. And he said, when he took the job, someone pulled him aside and said, "Hey, listen, your job is to make the general's life easier. Make them happy, do whatever you can to make their life easier." And that's it. He's like, there's going to be a lot of like responsibilities and things to do and all that. He said, but just frame it like that. Just think in your mind is that all of these things you do are an order and an effort to make it easier on the general, to make the general's life easy. And so he did it while he was in the Marine Corps. He did an awesome job of it. And he said, Devin, he goes, I took that mindset, he goes, to work. And he said, no matter who I worked for, I decided that was my primary job. There's obviously job descriptions and things he had to do every single day, but he said he framed it all with that type of mindset. And he, like I said, has worked for me for 20 some years. He hasn't been a direct report of mine, I don't know, for 15 years. But all along the way, we've stayed close, and everybody that he has ever worked for loves him. Everybody he's worked with loves him. Everyone that works for him loves him, because he has this mindset of like, I'm going to be a blessing to my boss. I'm going to be a blessing to this company. And so does it mean he's been perfect? Absolutely not. Like, there's been a lot of times when he's made mistakes and we had to move him in positions, right? Like, because he didn't do so hot here, but we moved him over here, or we moved him over there. But like, every time it was this, because everyone loved him so much. And even if he wasn't doing the quote unquote job perfectly, he himself was a blessing to the company, and everyone knew that. And we knew that we just maybe had him in the wrong spot. We needed to put him in a different spot. And so over the years, he's had all kinds of different jobs, but every single person he's ever worked for has loved him. He's continued to get promoted. He's so well respected in the company. And, I'm going to tell you, there was a time that he went through himself a real personal rough patch. And he was going through some stuff that, made him not the most effective at his job tasks. And but I will tell you, during those 2 years or so that he was going through this difficult situation in his life, where he was not necessarily getting an A on his report card as far as the job tasks go, if you know what I mean. But he was still loved and adored by the people around him and the people that he worked for, because he still maintained that spirit of being a blessing to those above him and those around him, and being a blessing to the company. And he maintained that spirit. And I will tell you that there were different people that came in, different directors, different CEOs, different folks that came in and didn't know him before and were like, hey, this guy's a problem. We've got to deal with this. We got to get rid of him. And everybody stepped up and said, no way. You are not getting rid of this person. He is a winner. We want him on our team. Listen, maybe he's going through a rough patch, but he's going to get there. And he got so much grace during this time. And so many people stuck up for him because they knew who he was, and they knew his attitude, they knew his spirit, and they knew what he was all about, that literally no one was able to touch him. And he outlasted those CEOs, right? He outlasted those HR directors. He outlasted all those people. And sure enough, he was able to take care of some of the stuff he had going on. And now he's right back to not only having the great spirit, but performing so well. And we were talking about this. He and I were talking about this, and he's like, Devin, I really think you should share this on the podcast. He said, because it's interesting. He goes, because over the years, he said, when people first meet me, they think I'm a suck up, they think I'm a brown nose. They think that, like, well, gosh, why are you such a company man? And he goes, after they get to know me, they realize I'm not a brown nose. I really want to bless those around me. And he goes, it's not just, the people that I work for. He goes, obviously I want to make my boss happy. I want my boss to like me. He goes, but I don't do it by brown nosing. He goes, I do it by serving. And that's what people see around him. They go, wait a second, you're not just a suck up that says the right things and then doesn't do them. He's like, you actually don't even take credit for the things, right? Like, he'll give praise and credit to other people. He's very humble. And he goes, and what happens is he ends up giving credit to people that are his peers for things that he does for the good of the company. And then they feel like, wow, that was incredible. And so he raises everybody up in the bar. And he goes, what I want people to understand is if they had that same attitude from the very beginning, what they could do in their careers, how much favor and blessing could be on them. And even in the hard times, how having them made those friends and having people believe in you will help you through those hard times. And so he wanted me to do this podcast because he thought it would really help people, no matter where you're at in your career, right? You could be 18 years old, just like him, working for a general, and that general might not be a Marine Corps general, but you could be 18 years old scooping fries at McDonald's, and your general is the head manager at McDonald's. It doesn't matter, right? But be a servant to where you're at. And he said he's tried to instill this in his kids. He's tried to instill the people that he works with and those around him. And he wanted me to share this with you because he believed, and I believe, that this type of an attitude will be a blessing in your life. So many times we're taught, especially as Americans, that like, no, you're American, we're, don't tread on me kind of attitude. And like, we're going to go in there and we're going to throw elbows and we're going to dissent and we're going to, push our way to the top, and we're going to, take down our boss, and our boss is an a-hole, and all of these different things, right? And we have so many times that's what's promoted and celebrated, this kind of like, don't tread on me type of attitude. And he's like, listen, the way because we talked about this, and the way he put it was like, hey, there's been times when I've had to dissent, that he and I've, had plenty of disagreements. He said, but I always do it in a manner that's with people understanding that I'm trying to be a blessing to the company. I'm not just trying to ruffle feathers. I'm trying to do the right thing. And so what I've recently realized is, because there's a lot of people that do have this, like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to throw elbows, make room, and I'm going to be that dissenter. And, and they think there's something noble in that, right? And they think that somehow they're this crusader for the people of the company, right? And sometimes that's necessary. But let me challenge you. If you're someone that thinks that way, and right now you identify more with that person than you do with the person I was explaining, if you identify more with that person, let me ask you, are you the problem? Are you at a place that's the problem? Because if you truly feel like you need to be this crusader for the people, and your boss doesn't know what's going on, and you need to throw elbows, and you need to dissent, and you need to have a bad attitude, and you really feel like that's absolutely necessary, Well, let me challenge you and tell you that you're probably at the wrong company. You're probably working in the wrong position, career, opportunity. You probably need to find some place that when you show up to work every day, you feel like you want to be a blessing. And now if you think about that going, no, actually, I think I'm at the right company. Well, then you're probably the problem, right? You probably have this prideful, aggressive, throwing elbows, everybody look at me mentality. And let me encourage you to learn from this podcast, not when you're 50 years old, but learn from it now, right now, while you're listening to this and absorbing this, and come in with that humble servant attitude of making your boss and the company's life, everybody easier, right? Giving, promoting those around you, praising others, having that type of a humble spirit where you raise everybody up and by serving, not by clawing. And that's truly what he's done. He's been a blessing in my life. He's been a blessing in all the different companies' life. And he's never tried to claw his way up. He's always served his way up. And let me encourage you to have that type of an attitude, and you will go far. I'm Devin, and this is the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast.